You know Mike's place, across from the Little Dandy Ironworks. The other day, just after the change of shift, a bunch of the boys were grabbing a snack. The one with ham on rye that's talking. His name could be mine or yours or anybody's. So let's call him Homer. That's it, Homer anybody. One of the best steel workers in the business, too.
Hey, did I ever tell you what happened to that brand new exhaust brake station wagon I got last spring?
Yeah.
I did? It didn't even have 1,000 miles on it. Boy, did I raise the roof. It took them 2 days to get it back in shape.
Yeah.
The wagon, I mean. Boy, what a lemon. You know what? Yesterday, I got a bill for $72.85. Boy, oh boy, did I really raise the roof.
Yeah?
Well, it turned out they weren't supposed to bill me, but somebody goofed. Fine way to sell cars.
Yeah.
And they're one of the best outfits in the business in most ways. You think they'd have high-quality help all the way through? Well, they probably have, even the clerk. The trouble is, people just don't look at the whole picture. Hey, Mike, fix me up another ham, huh? Like I was saying, if they did...
White or rye?
All right. Like I was saying, if they would look...
Relish or pickle?
Yeah, Mike, that'll do. I am trying to say, if people would look at the whole picture, they'd be more alert, and they wouldn't make foolish slips like that. Yes, sir. See the whole picture, that's what it takes. Sending me a bill for fixing a Franta stand that was no good to begin with. Gee, what if they ran the Little Dandy that way?
Yeah.
You all remember the Little Dandy Ironworks. The place where the germ of a wrong idea got in. The idea that their business was just making steel instead of pleasing customers by making steel. Yeah, that's it. To look at it now, you'd think it never had a sick day in its life. Well, it never did, really. At least it was never very puny. Just got to feeling sorry for itself. The way folks will. As a matter of fact, the Little Dandy is one of the best outfits in the business. Always has been. This is undoubtedly owing to the quality of the guys, the Homers they got working there. Just about the best in the business, I'd say. Of course, this is not to say that they don't have their troubles around the place. They do. Stuff gets out now and then that never should have passed. Enough so that they long ago set up a system for finding out how it happened. Works like this. Sometimes a complaint will come in by mail. More often, though, someone will call up and explain that something about a shipment wasn't quite right. Oh, it could be any one of a number of things. Sometimes that the shipment hadn't arrived, or that he'd been billed wrong, or, well, anyway, they write it all down. And then they study it to find out what the trouble is. Or was, I mean. That's the trouble with trouble. You don't find out what it is. You find out what it was. And then you try to keep it from being again. It's amazing how big a difference a little mistake can make. And it's also amazing how many different kinds of little mistakes it's possible to make. For example, slivers. Could be poor conditioning. Maybe inspection missed some of the defects, or maybe the scarfer didn't do a complete job. Pipe. Improper shearing. Not enough discard was taken. Scale pits. As simple a thing as a plugged spray on the scale breaker could cause scale pits. Scrambled lift. Probably careless piling. Scabs. Could result from a running stopper. This can happen if the stopper is not set properly or if the tapping temperature is too low. Cracks. Probably resulted from improper heating. Low tensile strength. Might be due to coiling at too high a temperature. Out of flat. Probably because the temper mill wasn't set quite right. Off section. Misalignment of the rolls could be the reason. Lap. Probably a collar mark. Too much draft or improper manipulating. Broken press. Probably segregation, resulting from an ore addition too close to the time the heat was tapped. Cracked in heat treating. Might be mixed steel, which is always possible if stamping is not legible. Out of straight. Probably missed by inspection. It might be easy to gain the impression that they're having a lot more trouble than they need at the Little Dandy, even with all their experienced homers. One way of looking at it is that any trouble at all is a lot more trouble than anyone needs.
One of the fellows at the dealers told me I'm not the only one having Franta stand trouble. There's a lot of others.
Yes, sir, I understand they're having more trouble with the Franta stands than they need. That's why they weren't supposed to bill me. It all falls back on the exasperate factory. Somebody goofed up there. Probably sloppy inspection or assembly, but I'll bet somebody didn't follow orders.
Hey, Mike, who's this for?
You ordered it.
Look, I always have ham on rye with pickle. Scrap this and start over. Watch what you're doing, huh? See what I mean? It's hard to tell why the trouble is, but it's easy to see what it is. People just not paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, somebody back up the line knew perfectly well how those exasperate Franta stands were supposed to be put together, but they just wouldn't do it that way. Okay, maybe they don't know why the book says what it does, but at least they know that somebody knows, or there wouldn't be a book.
Yeah. Ham on rye with pickle.
Well, now, that is just right. You know, there are no more one-man geniuses, if there ever were. Now, take Edison. He had a team. Hey, I'll bet that's what happened at Exasperate. Like it says up there, follow the book. We don't need any more characters. And that's it. Somebody didn't follow the book. They decided to do it their own way. Don't work. If you want to put something together right, you gotta have teamwork, especially these days.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that any better than the folks up at the Exasperate factory. Thousands of parts, raw materials, finished parts, commercial assemblies, sub-assemblies, coming in from all over everywhere and going every which way, and it all has to end up looking and acting like an automobile should. As a matter of fact, the Exasperate outfit is one of the best in the business. Always has been. This is not to say that they don't have their troubles. And sometimes trouble gets out into the field. Why, only a couple of weeks ago, they were up to their hips in busted Franta stands that were bouncing back from all over the country. Somebody had definitely made a boo-boo in connection with the new model. Right away, their system for getting at the source of the trouble started to go after the source of the trouble. They found out the stuff had inspected fine, nothing wrong with the assembly, and the forming was right up to snuff. They had done everything all right, but the steel they had done it with, well, the blame all fell back on the Little Dandy. That wasn't the kind of teamwork the Exasperate people wanted from their suppliers either. Kind of surprising, coming from the Little Dandy, one of the best outfits in the business. But the customer can change his mind about that. If the Little Dandy doesn't get the job done right, the customer soon gets to thinking it's not a good company.
You think we should start looking around for somebody else who can make this steel for us the way we want it?
Well, it's an idea. I'll tell you one thing, though. We're going to keep a closer watch on the Little Dandy from now on.
You'd think they'd work a little harder at keeping a close watch on themselves, continued the first man. They're big enough and old enough was the answer.
Of course, there's a chance that somebody working on those Franta stands just wasn't being watched close enough. I don't know why people are like that, but they are. If they think they aren't being watched, they goof off. Maybe they do something wrong, just because they feel they're big enough to get away with it.
Hey, I just swept there.
I'm sorry, I'll watch myself. Now, that was only a little thing, no harm done. That's what he's paid to do, sweep the floor. See what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it could have been that. Some guy that didn't have an inspector looking over his shoulder every second just figured he was working hard enough, so he let the Franta stands go through wrong one by one. But why?
Even if a guy's all by himself in a closed room, he's not alone and unwatched. He's got himself there watching all the time. Why don't people watch what they're doing like they used to? What happened to people's pride? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah, Homer. Why don't people watch what they're doing? It put the folks at the Little Dandy to a lot of trouble when that complaint came whopping in from the Exasperate people. It seems that somewhere during the preparation of raw materials, the manufacturing and shipping to the Exasperate factory, something had gone wrong. The laboratory report on the main back staff of the Franta stands told the sad story. Bad steel. But why? They've got what it takes to make good steel at the Little Dandy. Some of the best equipment in the business. And good men, too. Guys like Homer and his friend. You'll find them in every kind of job. Management and non-management, operating, maintenance and services. Oh, of course, they may be older or younger, fatter or thinner. But they all have one thing in common. They're all good guys, just like Homer and his friend. As the steel was made, Homer and his friend gave it the usual tests. From the spectrometer reading, they didn't find any reason to be suspicious of the chemistry. All along the line, other Homers supervised and watched it step by step. After a certain amount of transit time, the steel went into the soaking pits. And it came out and got slabbed. Another friend stamped it for identification. Then the slabs went to still another Homer and friend at the scarfing dock for proper conditioning. Homer put it through the mill, and he inspected the pieces and passed them. And mechanical testing didn't show him a thing. In shipping, Homer picked off the numbers, and some Homer in billing wrote down the numbers. No one spotted the trouble, and off it all went to the Exasperate factory. And there it came to light that something wrong had occurred somewhere. It may have seemed only a little thing, but the effect was tremendous. What was the answer?
I'll tell you what the answer is.
Things don't do anything wrong, people don't let them do wrong. You can bet that at the bottom of all that Franistan trouble, somewhere is something somebody did they shouldn't, or didn't do that they should. Or maybe something they thought was a little thing. Of course, a lot of the trouble comes from people with plenty of pride, but the wrong kind. Oh, they followed the book all right. Good team worker, you know. Be their own inspector. But a lot of pride.
Selfish pride. Like this. A guy does a swell job up to a point. Then he comes to a little thing and thinks to himself, I done all I need to do. Let George take over from here. He ought to do more anyway. It's a matter of fair play. Suppose everybody started doing only what he thought he had to do instead of all he could do to help things along. As though no one else had anything else to do but wait on him to pick up where he left off? Yeah. Hey, Mike, what do you have to do to get a cup of coffee around here?
Just ask for it, Homer. Just ask for it.
Look, all I need to do is drink it. It's up to you to see when that cup is empty. That's all you have to do is wait on customers. You know, that's probably what was wrong with those Franta stands that didn't hold up. A little more fair play mixed in the phone in a brand new exasperate station wagon with a busted Franta stand. Everybody started doing only what he thought he had to do instead of all he could do to help things along. As though no one else had anything else to do but wait on him to pick up where he left off? Yeah. Hey, Mike, what do you have to do to get a cup of coffee around here?
Just ask for it, Homer. Just ask for it.
Look, all I need to do is drink it. It's up to you to see when that cup is empty. That's all you have to do is wait on customers. You know, that's probably what was wrong with those Franta stands that didn't hold up. A little more fair play mixed in the forming and assembly, and I wouldn't have been sitting in a brand new exasperate station wagon with a busted Franta stand. Somebody just didn't care about their fellow man, that's all. And it isn't just a busted Franta stand, it's that way all over everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, the answer was the same thing it always was. People. They found out who did it, or almost. Kind of borderline case, the way it so often is. There has to be more faithful following of orders, more personal pride, and more of the spirit of fair play. Something had to be done about it, and would be, that's sure. It turned out that either one of two guys, yeah, these two, had been in a position to see what was called for and to do something about it. They both knew what was right, but somewhere, somehow, they didn't do what was right, and as a result got the little dandy and a lot of people in trouble. And there's Homer still beefing about some other guy he thinks caused all the trouble. Always some other guy.
I don't know what to do with people like that. Any guy that won't look at the whole picture, you're just wasting words talking to him.
How do you get across to people like Homer the real story behind his busted Franta stand? Obviously, he doesn't see the whole picture, or his part in it. Do you? Yeah, yeah, yeah.